to today's webinar on predicting the store of the future in 2019. My name is Ioli McCready, and I'm an analyst at Planet Retail RNG, which is now known as Edge by Essential. For those of you who have tuned into our webinars in the past, you may notice some new branding here today, but we'll get into that in a second. Today's webinar will cover some of the most significant store developments we've seen over the past 12 months as retailers are sort of continuing to reinvent their physical assets. So, we're seeing things from frictionless concepts to impressive in-store experiences and innovative assortment curation, all things that are leading the way. So we'll aim to look ahead and see what brands should expect in 2019. So before we begin, just very quickly, you'll notice some new branding here today. We were very excited to announce in October that Planet Retail RNG and its sister organizations have now merged and formed into Edge by Essential. So to briefly outline that for everyone on the call, the journey really began with the acquisition of Retail Net Group back in 2015, which came together with Planet Retail, followed then by the acquisitions of One Click Retail, which is a leading provider of sales and share data for Amazon, and then followed by Clavis Insight and BrandView, both of which are sort of digital shelf tools that help with price and promotion. So through our combined offering, each of these companies is now under the Edge umbrella, offering unique but complementary retail and e-commerce data sets and insights. And so what this means is that now One Click Retail is behind our market share tool. Clavis Insight will drive our digital shelf service. BrandView will power our price and promotion offering. And finally, our retail insights and research will be brought to life by Legacy Planet Retail RNG. And together with our rebranding, we have also launched a newly designed Edge Retail Insight platform, which really sort of consolidates the data, analytics, and content from the former Planet Retail RNG and Digital Radar platforms into one sort of easily accessible location that has everything together in a new design. One of the main features of this new platform is the Retail Market Monitor. So this is really our next generation retail and market data analytics tool that really helps our clients evaluate the current and future performance of retailers, markets, channels, banners, and so on, all in order to sort of help them prioritize their resources. Finally, in addition to our new platform, we have an exciting schedule of in-person events and programs that we want to share with you. First, we would like to invite you to our Advanced Retail Strategy program in partnership with UCLA Anderson School of Management on February 12th and 13th, which is on campus in Los Angeles. This is an exclusive 2-day immersion program for brand and retail leaders across functions, which is taught by leading UCLA business professors, edge advisors, and industry practitioners, and really aims to provide this sort of perfect blend of theory and application to analyze and operationalize the latest strategies that are sort of critical to winning the future of commerce. Aside from that, we also have been hosting Amazon hackathons in the US and in Europe over the last 2 years, which are sort of full-day summits dedicated to winning on Amazon. And we will continue to run these in the spring and fall of 2019, but we are now also announcing our first ever Walmart hackathon, which is taking place in March of 2019 in Bentonville, Arkansas. So very exciting events, and there's more. So please feel free to reach out to your Edge partners for more information, or to simply register directly on our website under the Events tab. So to get started, on our agenda today, we will take a quick look on the changing landscape and explore some of the most impactful store of the future highlights from 2018. We will then look ahead at what to expect in 2019, topped off by some of our key channel and brand considerations. So if there's any time at the end, we'll aim to answer questions. So if you have any as I go through the presentation, please send them through, and we'll do our best to get to them. So to start off by looking at the sort of constantly evolving landscape we are currently facing. We, of course, know that retail was founded around the development and growth of physical stores. However, today, retail is undergoing the biggest disruption it has ever experienced, putting stores under significant pressure. There are now more consumer touchpoints than ever before. New technologies are changing the way that shoppers research products, complete their purchases, receive their orders. There are now renowned expectations around what speedy fulfillment is, and what the essence of convenience and proximity is. And all of these trends together are really underlined by the explosive growth of e-commerce globally. So the result of all of this is that store-based retail continues to be challenged. So, and while e-commerce continues to gain share, it really, really is putting pressure on these store-based retailers because it's progressing exponentially, primarily thanks to the growth of 3P marketplaces, of course. And what we're forecasting based on our own data is that by 2023, the leading operators of the future will be primarily e-commerce based, and they will be outgrowing some of the largest retailers globally, such as Walmart, Costco, and Carrefour, which have traditionally enjoyed sort of the top of the retail chain. So as a response, we're seeing retailers really prioritize e-commerce and tech initiatives in an effort to sort of keep up with all of these digitally native players that are much more agile in testing and implementing new capabilities. So as is natural, we are seeing more and more categories shifting their sales online to combat this sort of increasingly limited shelf availability that they're facing in store. And based on our forecast, certain categories such as electronics, baby, even toys, are already seeing a big share of their total sales being sold through online. Other categories like pet food, household care, food and beverage, all have maybe a smaller share right now, but are projected to have a much faster growth out to 2023 as we expect them to sort of further embrace e-commerce. And a number of these categories will also be challenged because they are considered frequently bought items. So things like household goods or pet food, all of these are items that consumers can very easily switch into auto replenishment schemes. And so this is why they're much more suitable for the online channel. And this is why we think that they will be less and less merchandised in stores as they are much more suitable to be sold online, as I just said. All of these shifts will sort of have a big impact on the role and the proposition of the store of the future, which will require that the store now becomes a place for entertainment and socializing, a place to discover new products, a place that fulfills online orders and is sort of a part of the value chain, and a place that offers additional value adding services, a place where people can just pop in for a quick meal solution and so on. And so we believe, as you've probably seen before, that these four characteristics are the ones that will be the winning initiatives to focus on in order to revitalize stores and build this store of the future that we like to talk about. So we've gone through some of the big developments that we're seeing in the retail landscape. I now want to explore some of the practical initiatives that retailers primarily engaged in 2018 to combat this landscape. So to be able to do this, we make sure that we continuously track new developments across store innovation, channel shifts, retailer investments, market progress, and so on, together with our STEEP framework, which you've probably heard us talk about in the past, which really looks at drivers of change across society, technology, economy, industry, and policy to really help us shape our thinking about what the future of retail will look like. And through this, we've generated 9 key scenarios that we believe retailers and suppliers should be planning for in order to future-proof their businesses. But first, let's take a quick look at what the highlights of 2018 were. In terms of experiential, now we believe that experiential retail should achieve one or more of the 5 E's, as we call them. So those are experiment, entertain, excite, equip, and educate. So an experiential retail format should achieve one of the or more of these sort of functions. And to accomplish these, retailers can utilize anything from standout merchandising, interactive technology, fun events and promotions, product demonstrations or applications by staff, and of course, limited time partnerships and pop-ups by brands. And since we know that more than half of US retail executives recognize the importance of investing in store experiences, we will just highlight a couple of the most interesting developments. So, starting with pet on the left hand side here, I think this is really a channel that is really looking for new and exciting ways to sort of fight e-commerce as its products can be easily auto replenishable, as I said. And so an example from Petco's new service oriented banner, Pet Coach, which I'm sure you've seen before, but I just want to highlight it because it really focuses on providing services. So things like dog grooming, training, having on hand nutrition consultants that help shoppers determine sort of the best diet for their pets, a daycare area for shoppers, as well as sort of multiple digital screens that provide further pet care education throughout the store. So a really sort of interesting store where people can go in, utilize the services, learn more about things they can do to make their pets happier, healthier, and so on, and just a generally pleasant service all in one. And then in the beauty channel, which is a channel that is really best suited for experiences and sort of interactive elements, we saw things like Walgreens partnering with Birchbox to give shoppers the option of building their own box in the store, something that wasn't really available before because Birchbox was primarily online based with very, very few stores, maybe one or two in the US. So really bringing this experience to life and allowing shoppers to really experiment with different things in the store. And then, of course, CVS debuting its new store within a store area called Beauty in Real Life, where shoppers could get a range of pampering services. They could get blow dries, they could get skincare services, and all that kind of stuff, which CVS never really offered in the past. So, again, giving this extra incentive to shoppers to come in and then, of course, make purchases in the process. At the same time, there were, of course, a lot of stand-up moments in terms of frictionless. And of course, I have to mention Amazon Go, which came out in early 2018 and has now gone as far as 9 stores. While there's also talks of the technology moving to larger stores, potentially, of course, Whole Food stores, and also the potential of testing this technology in airports and even in other markets. So really showing how Amazon is really pushing for physical retail now and is really looking to try this out in different markets in different ways. And it's really something that we do not expect to slow down at all in 2019 and beyond. And over in Europe, we of course saw Albert Heijn scale its tap to go technology to all of its convenience stores. So that's a big scale up, meaning that the testing phase that they went through was successful and positive and showed that customers really liked using this. And so it really shows that it was easy for them to make purchases, easily for them to come in and out of the store and buy a simple sort of meal or any snack or beverage. So really making this a very, very quick and easy solution, particularly for urban shoppers that are really looking for this type of experience. In terms of social, we've seen a lot of things. One of the things I want to highlight is Alibaba's experiments with Hema stores, which really, aside from being a store with unique products and digital capabilities, Alibaba is really trying to make this sort of a meeting point for all small local communities. So because it plans to open so many of these, it plans for each one of these to be the center of each small community. So people can come in, enjoy their food, interact, socialize, look at the new products that are coming in constantly, and sort of create this sense of community. And then its first robot restaurant is again sort of an exciting initiative that can really bring groups and friends together to come in and try it, and see what's at offer. They can handpick their seafood. They can try different flavors, all of course powered by Alibaba's advanced technology. And finally, we're seeing traditional assortments really being challenged to become healthier, more sustainable, more differentiated. And so we're seeing big retailers really trying to experiment and optimize this. And so people like Carrefour has done a really big push on organic, which is of course a trend that's been going on for a while, but Carrefour is really, really making it clear that this is a priority for them right now. And we're seeing this through their in-store layout changing. So placing a much bigger emphasis on this, creating these bio experiences, as you can see on the left here, where it includes more than 3,800 organic SKUs in a small dedicated area of about 550 square meters, and really showing that this is their focus. And this is also even shown by their acquisition of So Bio, which really specializes in the distribution of organics. And then on the right, this is really one of my favorite examples over in Amsterdam, where a local player created the first entirely plastic-free aisle, where essentially all the products merchandise are packaged in different recyclable materials, eliminating all plastic from the packaging. So I find this initiative extremely timely and relevant, and something that will really need to become a priority in the future to reduce waste and so on. So that was 2018 in a nutshell. Now, what can we expect for 2019? Let's see, these are my top 10 predictions. It is without a doubt that tech partnerships will really empower the shopper experience, both in store and at home, with new technology sort of enabling faster ways to check out, place orders, find out more information, and so on. So we've seen interesting things like Carrefour in China partnering with Tencent in order to provide the WeChat payment feature that works through face identification. So rather than developing this capability in-house right now, Carrefour has partnered with a strong provider of the technology in order to initially test the impact and adoption of this technology in China, and then decide whether they would like to bring this in other stores or develop this technology in-house. And so what all this means is that we will see more retailers using these expertise provided by other companies in order to really understand the actual impact and usability of these technologies before they actually develop it themselves or sort of scale it to other stores. And what this does is it really gives companies like Google and Tencent an additional source of all this valuable information that they can use in the future to better inform other things as well and make much more targeted interactions with consumers. In this same vein is the fact that I think we will see data being used at a much greater scale to influence physical assortment and layout and merchandising. So using all of this data to understand what the store should look like, how it should operate, where things should be placed, what people are buying the most, where they're spending the most time, and so on. And big examples of this include the Amazon 4-star, which only features items that are sold on Amazon.com and that were the most popular among the shoppers in the area and that received the highest rating. Now, this is really the definition of localized curation. So, and it currently really responds to shoppers' individualized needs and makes excellent use of shoppers' online behavior to really sort of enhance and optimize the real life physical one. Another one that I really think is promising, it was for example Macy's partnership with Facebook. So in this case, Facebook brought to Macy's a curated list of primarily commerce-based brands that did not have a physical footprint in the past, and that Facebook saw as big opportunities because they were popular in its marketplace. So examples of retailers and brands really using the data that they gather online to really understand what the store should look like. And I think we'll see much bigger use of this as people, as shoppers and as retailers understand how to use this vast amount of data. Next up, I think another big trend is going to be product discovery being very much empowered by digital features. So this will obviously be particularly suitable in the beauty channel when products can really be brought to life through things like AR and so on. So Target, which is a retail that has really experimented with improving its beauty offering, is using things like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and even facial mapping in its beauty concierge to really create a more exciting experience of beauty experimentation. So shoppers can try out different makeup products without really having to put them on. In a very realistic setting. So this even reduces samples that retailers need to hold, and is really a more exciting experience because shoppers can take pictures, they can share them with their friends, they can share them on social media, and so on. So, Target and others like Sephora are really sort of embracing this and trying to elevate the shopping experience through these digital tools. Then related to food, I think digital will play a role in terms of transparency and information. So we're seeing shoppers be very, very interested in knowing exactly where the products came from, what the ingredients are, what the producers' values are, and so on. So I think it will be very important to have this information readily available in food stores, so people will expect to have instant access to all of this information. And of course, the best way to do that is to provide it through digital screens throughout the store. So I think that will also be a big way to sort of empower this product discovery and research in the store. In 2019, I also think that more brands will see the benefit of partnering with retailers to bring their products to life, and to gather sort of more direct customer feedback, create memorable shopping experiences, and so on. And we've obviously seen a lot of these partnerships happen in 2018. And I think that in 2019, they will be elevated even further because, as I said earlier, they will also be empowered by this data. So this is really a way for retailers and brands to better understand their shopper base, as well as sort of foster this culture of constantly trying out new things and introducing new products to really sort of refresh their offering. In terms of frictionless, this will obviously be the front-end development of 2019 and beyond. We have seen a very big number of Czech Atlas formats globally, with a particular focus in China, of course, where shoppers are particularly digital savvy and sort of receptive to these concepts. But what's interesting is that this is now highly moving to other markets as well. So we're seeing, we will see this in France through Auchan Minute that announced that it will open its Czech Atlas stores in France, as well as even in the UK, where Amazon has announced that it's planning to expand its Amazon Go technology. So we know that frictionless was important, but we now know that it will be much more global, not just concentrated in China. Another one that I really think will make a difference is this trend of making shopping ultra convenient by sort of really bringing the store to the shopper and making it so easy for them to access the store that it becomes 24/7. It becomes automated. It works through technologies like facial recognition, all in order to continue making the shopping experience easier and faster, because this is what shoppers want. This is what they've indicated that they're looking for. And so this will come in different shapes and forms. I mean, on the left-hand side, we see an example by Alibaba with its future drugstore, which really allows shoppers to pick up prescriptions at any time, so not have to adhere to store hours, as well as using other types of automation to fulfill orders, such as on the right-hand side, where MediaMarkt is using a 24/7 robot to fulfill orders. So really, how is this sort of vending, automated shopping experience really going to change the way people shop? Because it will be everywhere, it will be available 24/7, and staff will be less and less sort of needed in this experience. But of course, what comes with all of this frictionless shopping is the fact that there will be less of an opportunity for impulse purchases to happen at the checkout, because it is no longer, a traditional place where people go through and can have an impulse assortment there. And so we see this as a big risk for impulse, particularly for impulse brands like snacks, beverages, even things like batteries and so on. And so we think that brands will really, really have to come up with new ways to instigate this type of unplanned purchase. And that will happen in different ways, whether by creating sort of exciting in-store brand zones that attract customers to your product, even if it's not placed at the checkout. Other things like placing vending or other impulse opportunities at pickup areas. So whether that's a drive-through where you're picking up your area, or lockers where people pick up their orders. So adding product there in order to, again, sort of replicate this experience of impulse. And then again, using digital ways to encourage purchases. So by knowing what the shopper is looking for or purchasing, make suggestions or announce new products that the shopper could try out in the store. We also have, I think, another thing that will be big is the curation that is sort of built by cause. So Iceland, which is primarily a European retailer, has really taken a stand on palm oil. So it is really sort of announcing that all of its private label products will not include palm oil as a sort of stance, and they have really, really promoted the stance in order to um, sort of bring out their values and explain to their customers what they stand for. And then similarly, Tesco is really trying to remove plastic from its aisles. So I think we'll see retailers be much more passionate about sharing their beliefs and trying to adhere to new sort of social and environmental causes in order to better relate to their customers and to have more of an identity with their customers. Of course, we'll also see things like cross-channel cooperation. So we've seen things like Walgreens and Kroger, which for the first time are really partnering to bring their two experiences together. So the drugstore experience with the supermarket experience, bringing their resources together to see how their two offerings can work together and see how this could sort of benefit both of them in the future. And we're seeing more retailers be inclined to partner with others because of the joint sort of benefits of this. So we will see a lot of cross-channel blurring, and a lot of people trying to see what the benefits are of venturing into new channels. And finally, we of course know that the share of spend on food service is increasing globally in a lot of the leading markets. So this obviously means that shoppers are much more interested in sort of food services, hot food, having retailers bring in new meals, new flavors, recommending new tastes to them. And so because of that, we will see them dedicating a lot more of their space, as they already have, but more so in the future. Restaurant areas, places where they can have tastings of wine or of meals, where they can socialize and so on. And an example that I think is really interesting is Tesco here, which through its Booker acquisition is using part of its sales area for what it calls Chef Central. So what this is an area for professional caterers to come and purchase their supplies. So on one hand, we have the customer facing trend of increasing sort of the food service offerings in store, but at the same time, we're seeing Tesco take advantage of this from the sort of wholesale side by adding an area where professional caterers can really come in, experiment with new products, and really get their supplies from Tesco moving forward. So these are some of the top priorities that I think will be happening in 2019. So what do we think this means for channels and for brands? Obviously, this has a very different impact for all channels. So of course, in hyperstores, since their appeal is sort of reducing, they will need to use experiences much more, which a lot of times will be driven by brand partnerships to really bring back this excitement and really convince shoppers that they are not dying. At the same time, they will obviously need to use a lot of new technologies to do this. So whether this speeds up the fulfillment process, whether it gives shoppers more information, whether it somehow brings products to life, all of this will work to improve the perception of hyperstores in the future. In terms of supermarkets, we expect them to become much more frictionless. So yes, checkout-less technology has primarily been tested in smaller stores, but I think that we will start seeing it more in supermarkets, where it really will be valuable and even more challenging to sort of implement. In terms of convenience, we're seeing this really be redefined by things like vending. So really becoming hyper local, hyper convenient, because these locations can be mobile or they can be placed precisely at the point where most shoppers need them. So definitely a very interesting development for convenience. And then finally for drugstores and obviously beauty stores, much more sort of reliant on experiences in order to bring products to life, in order to educate shoppers, to give them more information, to show them how to apply them, and to even sort of give them a reason to come in to relax or get their beauty services. So all things to sort of help the drugstore and beauty channel excel and improve and differentiate. In terms of brand considerations, so brands should really think what their role is in all of these new technologies that will be impactful. So obviously they will need to drive more relevance through brand experience. So they should really own the experience and partner with retailers to see what is the best way to bring this experience to life, what is the best area of the store to do this, what are the best times, should it be tied to seasonal events, should it be tied to new product launches, and really come up with a combined strategy that makes sense both for the brand and for the retailer. In terms of frictionless, as I said, this will really impact impulse. So impulse brands really need to be thinking of new ways that they can instigate these unplanned purchases through other ways, because it is no longer ensured that the customer will go through the traditional checkout, because they may check out through their mobile, it may not be a manned store, and so on. So finding new ways that these products can be placed. They also need to really rethink their product lines. So are your product lines really adhering to these new trends where shoppers want to be healthier, where they want to consume less sugar, less salt, where they want more organic products? So really making sure that your product lines are in line with these trends, and also sort of aligning yourselves with other social and environmental causes that are really important to your customers. So if customers in the US, for example, are more and more concerned about the use of plastic, brands really need to embrace this in their packaging. And finally, in terms of social, we've seen again and again how profitable and how successful food service can be in sort of revitalizing a store and making it a place where people come to meet and socialize. So really take advantage of these. Put place your products in food service areas in order to drive these sort of pairings. Even use tech in the store within the food service area to again promote your products and somehow interact with customers and take advantage of this really growing trend. So this was what I wanted to share with you today. I'm happy to take any questions, even though we only have 1 or 2 minutes left. So one question that just came in relates to robotics, whether we see robotics being more influential in the customer-facing experience as well as the back end. Yes, so obviously robotics will be huge. There are a lot of retailers that are really looking and have been looking into this for a while now. We will see a lot of automation. We've seen recently people like Walmart using testing a robot in its deli area. So things like that where a physical sort of human staff is not really needed. I really think that robotics will really be the answer in these types of things, particularly also in markets like Japan and others where sourcing staff is becoming really hard and where wages are really rising. So yes, of course, robotics will be huge, and it is something that I think is important. Let's see if there are any other questions. There's a question about whether we know if the Amazon 4-star concept will be expanded. So there's no information right now about whether it will be expanded. I do think that this was really a test for Amazon to see whether a concept like this would be well received by customers. It seemed like it was extremely popular. I'm sure it takes a lot of resources to keep it relevant and keep the products in the store really the ones that are the best selling in the area. I'm sure that Amazon will experiment with more sort of physical concepts. So maybe not the exact same thing, but I'm sure that Amazon will bring out other concepts to test this type of physical shopping. So it seems like our time is up. If there are any other questions, please feel free to email us and we'll make sure to get to them. Hope you enjoyed today's webinar and thank you very much. Have a great day.